Hey there, Goa fans. This is Mark DJ Solitaire here with episode 166 of Retro Goa Explorations, my weekly series in which I share in each episode one of my favorite tracks from the 1990s Goa Trance psychedelic dance movement. Alrighty, so I am back from Europe. We had a hiatus of 6 or 7 weeks since I did episode 165. Since then, I've been in Portugal for ZNA. I was in Hungary for Ozora. I was in Ibiza for the non-Ibiza experience, as in not partying. But there was some music, details of which will follow eventually. And so yeah, it's been a busy and very hot summer. So I'm happy to be home where the temperatures are moderate and I don't burst into flames every time I set foot outside. And I'm happy to be back with this series. So a few ideas came up in conversations while I was away, including the fact that I might start doing some full album reviews. So, starting with perhaps the latest ZNA compilation that Federico Drake and I compiled for the latest edition of ZNA. We've done 4 or 5 of them now. And perhaps just little run-throughs of entire CDs. There are several albums from the 90s that I thought of doing that for. So that's a possibility. Also, perhaps some topics of conversation. I often work in some little thoughts about our scene in these videos within the context of the music and what it is that I happen to be talking about. But there were a few conversations around perhaps doing something along those lines. I gave a presentation at Ozora on Goa Trance music and culture. That might be something that I refilm for online as well. I also gave a Twisted Records 30th anniversary presentation, which again might be something that I redo for online. Just, a little bit of different context and can be expanded than when it's in person. But I'll check out what the recordings are like of the actual events and see if I put those up. But so yeah, perhaps expanding Goa Retro Explorations, or whether I make different themes, different, Retro Goa Explorations stays for single tracks and albums, and maybe conversations are another series. So anyway, a few ideas that were coming. What I thought I would do for this episode, I was like really thinking, and I'm still really thinking actually about the music from the late 90s and from 99 into 2000. It was a really different period. And it's not like, every time I was looking at the 94, 95, 95, 96, I was looking at all of those seasons. I mean, there's tons of tracks that I didn't feature. And I wanted to, move ahead and get into those favorite tracks of mine from the subsequent seasons. And I was certainly experiencing already in 99 and certainly into 2000 and after a kind of drying up, sort of a less robust selection of the music that made my heart sing. There was definitely still lots of great stuff, but now as I look back, I'm like, wow, it's a lot harder to pick and choose, and there's fewer artists who are producing the stuff that I absolutely loved. So I might start going back to previous seasons and featuring tracks that I have not yet covered, because there were several that I absolutely love that I know I didn't do. I think I did 26 episodes, 25 or 26 episodes in the 94, 95 season. There's tons more to do, and similar for the next. So that might be something else that I do. For this particular episode, I wanted to tie it in with an important individual, and this also might be something that I start to do, that I start to explore different musicians and maybe do, episodes that are focused, centered around several productions or or style or the evolution of different musicians. But in this case, I wanted to do an episode featuring a track still in the 98 to 99 season that we're currently in the overall flow of these episodes, but featuring an artist who, this is a little more timely because just a few days ago, it was the fifth anniversary of the passing of Olli Wisdom. And anybody who knows my origin story and knows my background knows how pivotal he was in me becoming part of the scene, and really grasping, I think, or grokking rather instantly, the whole vibe, the whole message. There was just really this all at once flash download. This is popular in new age terminology. Uh, I just instantly got it as soon as I walked onto that dance floor and saw the decor and heard the sounds. I was like, whoa, okay, music from another planet, and this is what it's like to be in outer space. What would aliens listen to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, really getting into the UV clothing and all of this sort of stuff and the color, a bunch of which are quite absent in the scene right now. So, whenever I think of Ollie, I really do my best to remember those initial impressions. One of the challenges that we have in our relationship with the scene, there's this wonderful evolution, and we can become more familiar, and we can, there's a lot of that. But similarly, there's this trend that we have biologically, psychologically, known as hedonic adaptation, where anytime you repeat something over and over, it loses its specialness. And I think there's been a bit of that, or a lot of that, in our scene that's been impacting its evolution and the vibe. And so for me, really remembering what it was like initially is really important. And, I just think back to that first event, October 15th, 1994, and poof, it's all there. As much as it was very vague for me in terms of, how it was very general, in terms of what the music was like, because I just couldn't make heads or tails of it. And there's just certain figurations and sounds that really stuck to mind, but certainly the overall atmosphere and the context and the message was really there. So having been to Ozora, I was reminded, that in the 98-99 season, one of the times that I got to, the only time that season actually that I got to hear Ollie was at Solips, the Total Eclipse Festival, which took place on the site where Ozora has taken place ever since. And so and there's some great footage I shared. It was 20 episodes ago. Actually, I just checked episode 146, where I featured So Deep, which I remember hearing on the dance floor there. And, I showed this incredible video of the dance floor at Solips, and Ollie there in his, skin tight unitard, alien outfit. And I mean, I remember having been sick before that and really, needing to make it there for his set, which was 5 to 8 a.m., according to a little timetable that just showed up recently. Which brings up another thing, because take a look at how full the dance floor is at this event, between 5 and 8 a.m. I don't know what's going on now with Gen Z and people now, but I'm sort of wagging my finger a little bit at the Gen Z for taking the Z a little too seriously and sort of sleeping in the mornings. Come on, guys. It was very quiet on the dance floors for everyone's morning sets at these festivals. And I was hearing this from a lot of performers in addition to observing that at mine. And so I find that interesting. And, it is a very different thing. This is, again, something that could, be extrapolated on in a future episode where we talk about these things. But I brought it up, so I'll go into it a little bit now. There was always the sense that we really wanted that flow. You go through the night, you go through the darkness of the night, and then there's the light changing and coming second by second, and then there was this, full awakening, and then that full daylight. which was interesting. By the way, I'm not sure if you can hear my wind chimes chiming right now, but that often happens when there's key points that I'm talking about. So, little feng shui hello there. So, I'm interested. And there's a reality. We have to take care of our body. We have to take care of our health. We have to take care of our mind, and not just push too much. And in multi-day festivals, it's different than if it was a one-night flow. I think that is one significant difference and something that festivals have changed. But in any case, looking at the footage from Solips in '99, I was actually surprised. I didn't remember that the set had been that early, 5 to 8, for his fabulous 4 hour set. Five, six, hold on, 6, 7, 8. I was pretty sure it was 4 hours, so maybe the timetable's not accurate. I don't think he played less than three. I played less than four back in those days. That's what I recall. But in any case, you have you see a very, very full dance floor. And of course, people moving around and not all facing each other, and there's space and there's all kinds of things, right? But in any case, so I wanted to feature a track. Not that I remember Ollie playing at that time. There's one in the video, Telepathic Contact, that's been dubbed into that video, and great track. It's not one that I really had the strongest relationship with. And it was released in 2000 on that later album. So I thought I would feature one from this album that came out in '98 from The Future is the Future's Right Now, which is a great one. My friend David, who ran the Hikari clothing outfit, he's the one who had organized that first party of Ollie's that I went to in October '94. He had a T-shirt that he produced that said "The future was now," which I really like. It's an extra little twist. But I thought I would feature a track from here, and it's a little bit different in a few ways, and not what we expect from Ollie, and probably not what you expect from me either, because it's on the slower side. It's the closing track on this album, Beyond the Subatomic. Uh, love the title, love the spoken samples, and I really love the track. And one of the things about it is slower, and there used to be tracks like this. And I featured, I think, GMS track One Small Creature, um, which I played at ZNA, by the way, in the morning as well. Having a couple of these slower tracks that have propulsion but are slower can be really powerful. And this is different, though, than the one that I featured in the previous episode, the Etnica track Makaba. Um, there's different qualities of slower paced tracks. They're not all just slow. And it's an interesting thing because people can really get stuck on tempo. It's the same thing in classical music. Um, it's not just about the speed. That's one more easily recognizable factor in a in a musical piece or a performance. But there's how the momentum goes, how things are voiced, the flavor and the quality of the track is different. And this one is fabulous. I think it's great to drop in the middle of a high pace set. That's something that I heard Ollie do in '95 when he played a 10-hour set at the base of Mount Fuji. And he didn't remember doing that when I brought it up 20 odd years later, but I remember it very distinctly. And and I think also for ending a party, sometimes having a slower track can be kind of cool. I think it goes against the grain now. Everybody wants to blast and just have a high power ending, and that can be great also. But, in any case, I thought we would listen to this track. Another feature is the triplets, which don't sound like conventional triplets now. So at this point, we already had some tracks that feature triplets. And I haven't featured them all in this series, and so I need to go back and do some of these. Juno Rector Conga Fury was one of them, and then I think was it Swamp Thing or Kaguya Hime, one of the other ones on Bible of Dreams, had that. And interestingly, there's a triplet beat in Hallucinogens Fluoro Neurosponge, which is more 94, 95. So there were some. Uh, the thing that's different is they weren't all accented in the way that they are now. And they weren't all, sort of hitting you over the head with just the beat and the beat dominating. It was part of the undercurrent of the track. And that's the case here. And so it's an interesting shift, an interesting vibe that gets created. I think this is a fantastic track. Amazing sounds, great psychedelic mind expanding spoken samples, and then the pacing and the flavoring. So why don't we give this a listen? Space Tribe, Beyond the Subatomic. Love that sound. Super psychedelic and otherworldly.
Try to see past the surface, past the light, to the patterns of energy and matter.
Great mind expanding stuff, and then notice that beat. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Right, so interesting beat. Love the punctuation of the other sound. And then this little growly voice coming in. And that other one. So again, quite mantra-like, right? Singular note and just this rhythmic pattern to it. And that gnarly sound. I love that. I love that slide.
Solve the riddles of the subatomic particles.
Now this is just quirky and playful, which is great. And you can imagine these are the sounds of little atoms or electrons and neutrons. And remember, we've had atomic languaging before, right? With the electrons do it to the neutrons with the Infinity Project. This broken up voice, this is just brilliant. Fantastic. This metallic effect and just sort of like this breaking things apart. And then I love this voice, this mantra-like voice. And listen to all the different layers happening simultaneously. Love that kind of like revving your engines again, the way it does that, and then again, I love the way different parts go into, different voices interact and one goes into another. Really creative storytelling. Notice how much is pulled back to bring in this new content, and then this. Love that kind of sheet metal sound. Ooh, some overtones happening there. textures clear up. I mean, this is, the storytelling is so organic, really something that's missing these days. And notice how it's got this momentum and it's still got this bounce, despite the slower speed. That voice comes back, sort of chanting mantra-like voice. Love that kind of gnarly grind to that. Then it continues on the fourth time.
Solve the riddles of the subatomic particles.
Then the sample comes back. Again, creative use of the sample with that drum roll into it, that pause. Those kind of zaps.
Try to see past the surface, past light, through the patterns of energy and matter. Try to see past.
Again, more of that chopped up voice. Fascinating drive to this, right? The evolution of this story. And I find this really does have that tribal kind of beat to it. And then that distortion, that pitch bending. It's going to start to bring it to a close pretty soon. Sounds there. Wow. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. I think probably a largely overlooked track, except for those who, listen to the album and back in the day when we'd put on a CD and listen to the whole flow, and that was your experience. You just listened to the whole thing. I'm interested in how much that got played out. I did. I'm sure I ended at least one set with that. I might have dropped it in the middle somewhere. It's hard to, I can't remember all of the sets back in 98, 99. There were quite a few underground ones and later on. But, that kind of thing went out of fashion. Doing that gear change and drop in a slow track. I still love it. I still think it can work. I think it helps if you have the crowd that's there, that's along for the full journey, and things are really synchronized on the dance floor, then it can be very, very effective. But I think, musically, this is a track that's really worth paying attention to. There's a lot that's going on with the sounds, with the spoken sample message and how that's intertwined, the storytelling, and and that interesting early use of triplets that's quite different than what it is that we generally hear, certainly nowadays. So I think a fabulous track. Really wanted to do one to remember Ollie by 5 years after his really unexpected and very sad departure from this plane. Sad for all of us who are left. And worth remembering always the message and the commitment that he brought to all of his endeavors, all of his music production, and also, the clothes, and then, his presence on stage and in delivering his music. It's something that I always remember every time I'm behind the decks myself. So that's it for episode 166 of Retro Goa Explorations. I will sign off here and leave you now with the complete track so you can listen to it without my blah blah over it. So I'm Mark, DJ Solitaire, leaving you now with Space Tribes Beyond the Subatomic.
Try to see past the surface, past the light, to the patterns of energy and matter.
Solve the riddles of the subatomic particles. the riddles of the subatomic particles.
Try to see